Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 7 of the Geoguessr Reddit League. My name is Zatomo, and I'm joined, as always, by Calamity. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, so we have another interesting matchup here in Division 2 today between Icetharu and Benica in Lesotho. I've been corrected on my pronunciation several times of the country's name, so hopefully I don't make too many mistakes throughout the video. But yeah, very close in terms of wins and losses, but quite a bit of a difference between the places. Isn't that right, Calamity?
Yeah, you can see that something that actually interesting here that I don't think I've seen before on any of the matches we've casted is that Icefaro has more average points, but he's also further off in terms of kilometers. That definitely means something. I just can't figure out in my head right now what it means. He's either better on world maps or worse on world maps. Or like not world
Yeah,
maps,
that's
but bigger
probably.
maps. Yeah. And yeah, you see aces wise, they're very close. Best game, they've both reached 24k. I think for Icefaro, that was North Macedonia actually. And Benica was on a worldwide map. Uh, Icefaro has been in good form recently, despite that loss last week. But that was against Mr. Blue, so yeah, can't blame him for that one.
Yeah, you can
And
almost kind of just give him that one, but
yeah, Benica, 3 losses in a row. It's looking tough for him. That's also why he's dropped down all the way to ninth place in the table.
yeah, he seemed to have kind of been either an all or nothing sort of player so far this season. He's gotten his 2 wins, I believe, back to back, and then it's just been a few losses before and then 3 losses after that. So he'll be looking to change his fortunes around this week. What I noticed in the table, though, is the difference between these two players can almost entirely be accounted for by a bonus point for Icetaru and score difference. So they're actually pretty close, other than those 3 points, obviously, for that extra win that Icetaru has. It actually doesn't put him that much higher up in the table over Benica, but it's that extra bonus point, that 4th point difference, as well as his score difference. So it's actually very close between these two than it might seem. Yeah, but so they're facing off in the very interesting map of Lesotho, an average score of only 14,000 or so odd points. It has been only played about 100 odd times, but I'm sure after this week in the Reddit League, that number has skyrocketed, not to mention the number of likes as well. No map description, but it pretty much speaks for itself. Just a simple map that covers every corner of this country. Yeah, so Calamity, who do you think is going to come out on top in this one?
Yeah, it's difficult to say, but I think I favor Icetharo mainly because, as we said before, Benica not in good form, and the one really good game he did have was on a world map. So going into Lesotho now, he'll have a difficult time, but he might be able to surprise us. We'll see.
Okay, yeah, I definitely think, especially with that late recent form, it's going to be an uphill struggle for Benica here. But they're pretty close in the table, only 1 win separating them. So let's see what they can do in Lesotho, and we'll jump right into it.
If you hit the right button.
I hit the right button, yeah. There we go. Oh, so a very interesting mountain location to start us off. So
One thing you can already say about Lesotho, something that might help you in general, is the elevation. Lesotho is a country that's very high up. I think it's even the country with the lowest point in the country worldwide, with about 1,500 meters or so above sea level. And usually it's the west and the northern end of the country that's relatively low, and the middle and the eastern parts are relatively high up. So I'd guess we're somewhere in the center of Lesotho.
yeah, but this country is infamous for not having many signs. So it will be a bit of a struggle to find exactly what road you might be on. Practice is definitely going to come into play here.
Benica just putting a marker down in Lesotho to begin with.
Yeah. Making sure you don't get skunked. That's always a good maneuver.
Yeah.
So Icetharu jumping back to the start and going the opposite direction. He's now heading south, the same direction as Benica. He started out going north. So now they'll
Mm.
be seeing similar information from now on. But
You said earlier that there's usually very little signs in Lesotho, but if you do find a green sign, those are usually the important ones, you'll usually know where you are because they often have the same cities on them, like you either get Maseru or Leone, however they're pronounced, or one of the two big dams in the country.
yeah, I do remember from my practice runs that some of those dams were a good kind of reference point to use, which end of the big lake I believe you're on. So,
Yeah, it's actually
that's,
two different lakes, but
oh, is it?
yeah,
Maybe I didn't
Mohaledam
look close enough.
and what the other one is Katsedam.
Hmm.
Mohaledam is southwest on a different lake. They're not far apart. If you can see it there on Icetharu's screen just now, the western lake is Mohaledam and the northern lake near Bokong is Katsedam.
Oh, okay. So Ice Third is putting us, like you suggested, Calamity, in that A3 road in the central part of the country.
Mm.
So it looks like he's taking your advice there.
It also looks to
Benica
me,
yet to jump back again from just his random drop. So
yeah, it looks to me like they're walking in circles a lot. I mean, there's obviously not walking in circles, but back and forth a lot. Benica's
well,
found
Benica has come up on a
some
green
signs. Yeah,
sign of some sort.
Mohale Lodge, the white sign set just to his left. Yeah,
Oh, Mahala Lodge. Yeah, so that should
17.
be a place he can find on the map.
Mm.
That dam. So he'll put us on the right road. He's only got 10 seconds, so pinpointing might be
Yeah,
a little bit difficult.
he'll
I
just
don't
have
think
to.
Icethar is too far off. He zoomed way in, but he is on the same road. I think he's further. Yeah, he is further east as time runs out. So he'll gain that advantage on. Benica will gain that advantage on Icethar in that first round. Benica with 4,538. Icethar with 3,666. Yeah, so just like you said, Calamity, mountainous, probably central part of the country, and that from there, Benica maybe getting a little bit luckier in finding that sign
Mm.
for him there.
You can see on Icefire's screen that he's walked both north and south. Might have been better to stick with one direction. You never know. Uh, I get it's always luck in the end. You might find a sign if you turn around, but
Yeah.
yeah, Icefire not finding any signs. I don't think, and yeah, just having to guess based off of landscape, and Benica getting that very crucial sign that tells him where he is. Slightly missing out on the 17 kilometers, but being 3 kilometers away is pretty good.
Yeah, and you can already see evidence of how brutal Lesotho is going to be with points. Benica 3 kilometers off, but losing over 400 points. So you have to be pretty close to get those aces in this week. And as we'll jump into round number 2. Oops, I clicked the wrong digit. There we go. So, and now we're in a more flat, lower location on this round, Calamity.
Yeah, I'm usually like I'm more of a fan of the locations that are high up because usually on these flat locations you can find a lot of a lot of small towns that might or might not be on the map, and you can kind of get yourself in a bit of trouble if you start looking for one of those towns on the map and it's just not there.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're really familiar with the map, you're going to have a hard time knowing whether or not the town name you're looking at is in fact something worthwhile.
Mm.
As iStar comes up on one of those signs right here, but just blazes right past it because it's blurred out.
I mean, he surely would have been able to see that if he just moved a bit forward and backwards. I'm pretty sure that was readable on one of the images.
Mm-hmm. Benica has a sign as well, but I can't really see anything on it. Oh, it does have a city name. I think you found it,
I
but
couldn't read
he
it,
jumped.
unfortunately.
Yeah, his resolution is a little bit different, so a bit
Too
tricky.
small.
Yeah, Icetharu though seen one of the many school signs that you see all over the place.
That are entirely
Uh,
useless. That Benika's just
yes,
seeing now as well.
Benica's got it, but that was Mohopi though. Mohopi, which is a major city.
I don't think so.
No, I don't
At
remember.
least I don't recognize it. But the thing is, I mean, this might just be me, but a lot of town and city names in Lesotho just sound the same.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it got me several times as well.
yeah.
That I was like, isn't this a big city? And nope, I don't see it, so it must not be. It must have the same four letters or something. But
Mm.
no.
And all of those white school signs say Maseru Lesotho on it. That doesn't mean you're anywhere close to Maseru. I think that's just like the main administration of all schools. But Benica finds a
But
useful
Benny,
sign.
you got a very good sign.
Mm.
So you'll know that we are northeast of Maseru, the capital, I believe, right?
Yes,
Of the country.
a couple.
Pretty much the only major city in the country.
That sign was another good thing to show. Some of those names that you saw on that sign are just things you'll have to know where they are because they're not actually towns, or even if they are, they don't show up on the map. Like Oxbow, for example. There
Mm.
is an Oxbow Lodge that zooms up, that shows up on the map if you zoom in far enough, but probably not something you'll find if you don't know where it is.
Now, Icetharu has not seen quite the same signs, but he is putting us in a relatively similar position. That's a really good, interesting sign for construction. But
Interesting, maybe good not.
yeah, very interesting. But
Yeah, there's
didn't
like
see anything on there.
two
Yeah.
different signs that look very similar to that. One's that, which is useless; it has no information usable on it, and there's one that looks very similar that sometimes has the city name on it.
And he'll run out. And for some reason, Benica, did he move his marker? Or
Yeah,
is he
he moved it a couple of times, but I don't know if he had anything to really give him a good indication of where he was. Well,
okay?
he did see that sign for Buta Buta and Maseru, which are quite far apart. You can see Buta Buta on his screen there,
Yeah.
northeast. Maseru's all the way down there on the southwest. So I think he just thought he had to be somewhere between the two, when in
Mm.
actuality he probably found the intersection of the road, of the yellow road where the actual location was on, with the road that connects Maseru and Buta Buta. So yeah, if he'd thought of that, he would have probably been a lot closer.
Mm. Yeah, I thought he had his pin closer to that intersection, and then when he time ran out, the pin was way further south, and I was a little confused. But I think as you can see on Icetharu's map in with that red line, he did make it to that, worked his way back a little bit too far, but still getting quite a few points, 4,310 for him there. But Benica, knowing, like you said, Calamity, just between those two cities, trying to split the difference there. Unfortunately, that cost him only 1,190 points for him. So seeing a little bit of a better sign, but not really being able to do much with it, unfortunately, for him. Yeah. So we'll jump into round number 3 here.
And
And
there's a
some
green
more white
sign straight away.
and green signs straight away. So we have Maputo. Is the O a U or an O sound? I don't know.
Good
Because it's
question.
Lesotho, right?
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
is it? Yeah, I don't know the phonetics. It's in the Latin alphabet, but that's about it. And ooh, Icetharu has found one of the signs, one of the cities on the sign, other way around.
Yeah, another good example for a sign with cities that some of them do appear in the map, some don't. Rote, for example, which you can see there on Benica's screen, isn't on the map.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna Icetharu as well is looking at that sign. He's gonna have trouble if he's looking for that city because he won't find it.
Yeah, and then the one thing about Lesotho is even when you do find city names, there are no distances.
And in
So
most cases, there are some signs I know that do have the distances, but yeah, you're right. Most of them don't.
so
Uh,
they both are in the general area, this north, well, I guess southwestern corner of the country, but where exactly be a,
yeah, Ice Pharaoh has found Sakolo as well, so he's seen two of the cities on the signs. I think I remember playing this round, and it was one that took me quite a while to hunt down the actual location as well, because there's
hmm.
just signs to a lot of different cities in that area, but there's like 15 different intersections there that all look like at a glance they could be it until you find the right one.
Yeah, so very different round from round one and two, uh, but probably one of the happier spawn locations in this
Yeah, yeah.
country.
It's definitely one of the easier rounds.
Yeah, at an intersection with signs with city names for every direction. Just a bit of process of elimination for the players to figure it out with about a minute left.
Mm,
Icetharu is going to wander a bit afield to try to get a little bit more information, while Benica doubles down a little bit on trying to figure out those cities a bit more.
mm. That's also an interesting thing because a lot of people probably don't realize this, especially if you don't play Geoguessr a lot. But knowing which intersection you're at, given so many signs to so many different cities, is not as easy as it sounds.
No, I end up I'm if anybody's seen my videos, I'm probably famous for the fact that I always flip my directions. Like, oh, I'm just on this one. It's like, no, you're on an intersection, but you were east, not west. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's on. So I
Yeah,
think I
and
did it on this map on my seed for my division. I was like, oh, I'm here it is, and I must be here. And it was just a mirror image of where I should have been. So
mm,
I picked the wrong intersection. But
yeah. Five
yeah.
seconds to go. I think Benika's found the right one. Ice Faru. I don't think he's that close yet. He's
Well,
in
we'll
the right
find out
area,
in
but
7 seconds for Benica as he looks at
now
his ad.
Benika had the right one. Uh,
Okay, so Icetharu though with 3,433, and you,
I think it was 4980 or something.
yeah, you'll see the score. There we go, 4,980. So he will make up some of those points he lost in the previous round, but not quite enough. About 1,500 or so. 4,980 for him there. Yes, we know he jumped straight into it, but where does? Oh, they both do. They're both straight away. So we just hit play again. Here we go.
Yes.
So into round four, about 11, 1,400 point lead, or no, not even
701 points.
701 points. I didn't see the seven. Uh, so still anybody's game, especially in a country like Lesotho,
Mm.
where a few kilometers can be 1,000 point difference. So
Icefire's found a sign for a river, and judging by that, he's just looking at the map straight away. I think he recognizes the name, but just can't quite place it. So he's going to look for something better.
I did find that in all of these small mountain valleys, there were lots of small rivers, and if you didn't like have a kind of a notion of the names of those rivers going into it, it
Mm.
doesn't really help too much because every little mountain valley has a river running in it
Yeah,
next to the road.
some of them don't show up as well on the map.
Yeah, yeah. So, but he does. Yeah, he is zooming in on some of those more. I can't think of the word. Predominant. That's not the word I needed, is it?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Major rivers.
Yeah.
And seeing if he can find a name, but unsuccessful so far. Just under 2 minutes left to go in this round.
Yeah, there's most of these locations that look like this don't really have a lot of information. Just these kinds of windy roads through a couple of small towns.
Hmm. And sort of mountainous, but not mountains like in round one.
Mm,
So does that put us more towards like the west or north of the
it
country
it
then?
puts us towards the edge of the country, like on the outskirts. It doesn't tell you whether you're north or south, but you're definitely not in the center of it, and not
Okay.
not in the east either.
Okay. So Icetharu is looking closer to the edge.
Yeah, he's found it.
I think he has found it.
Yeah,
That lodge might have been a little bit of a help.
it's the Maliba Lodge round
Yeah.
that also appears in the Division One seed. So that's a big advantage if you've played through that. Potentially Icefaro, I think he did. I just
I
remembered he
think he
did play
usually
through the
does.
Division
Yeah.
1 round. So that's probably why he immediately looked at the map upon finding that river. But just as I did when I played through, because I played through the Division 2 seed first and then the D1 seed. And it took me a while as well to find the right place in the Division 1 seed, even though I
Mm.
technically knew where it should have been.
Yeah, this is an interesting location. This is one of those times when we're not on one of those major yellow A designated roads outside of the capital or a major city.
Mm.
Um, and he'll guess, oh, an ace. Very nice. That'll really shore up his position going into round number 5 for Ice Tower there as the timer runs out. Benica, unfortunately, had the right idea, but he made the mistake that I was just about to mention, is that most of the Google Street View coverage in Lesotho outside of cities is consolidated around those A roads. But this is one of the few exceptions to that. So he kind of had that in mind. Okay, it's not in a city. We're kind of in this area. I'll put us on that yellow road, but kind of came back to haunt him a bit. Isn't that right,
Mm.
Calamity?
There is, you say most of the coverage is on the yellow roads, which I think is true, but there is a lot more coverage on the white roads than you'd have, for example, in North Macedonia or back in Kyrgyzstan. So you can't just assume you're on the main road and put it there. I'm not sure if Benica actually got lucky there with his placement, because I'm not sure he even saw anything in terms of actually helpful information.
He did have a few signs, uh, construction and so on, nothing too specific, but I did believe he had enough to put him at least in the general vicinity where he was. But yeah, that's about it, I think.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, so Ice Tower will extend his lead by a few thousand points going into round number 5. He takes a 3,300 and something point lead. Calamity can do the math.
3,000, wait a second, 331.
Yes.
Almost
So
3,333.
almost an entire round's worth of points, but it is definitely possible.
Yeah, this is not a fun location to be in, I don't think.
Yeah, this is the kind of location maybe Benica definitely needs if he wants to make a comeback here in round number 5 and stop that losing streak. But he's found some sort of sign. But again, one
Yeah,
of
I
those
think
without.
that's one of the useless ones.
Yeah, that is one of the useless ones. But I am always surprised at how much censorship Lesotho has on their signs.
Mm.
Um, and I don't know if it's just a national policy or something. Ice Tower, they're seeing that same sign from a bit of a different direction.
I think he reacted to the lodge there he's seen.
Yeah, yeah. Looks like he has recognized the city. I think that is the city on
Yeah,
his map right there.
it is. Always difficult, of course, if you just see a sign towards the lodge to judge how far away you are from it.
Yeah. He is appearing to think he's further north than that. Working his way back to his spawn. Benica continuing north, looking for more information. He'll make his way into a small town. But again,
more useless signs.
Yeah, more useless small school signs.
Yeah, and that's one of the things where practice comes in as well. Because if you practiced a lot, you know that those signs are useless. So you just wouldn't check them, and you'd probably save like 3 seconds every time you find one of them.
Yeah. Yep.
He's heading south now, both of them actually.
Yeah, it's about a minute left. It's not looking good for Benica. He is roughly in the right area, but in a country like Lesotho, that's not good enough. Icetharu, though, definitely homing in on the village he's close to. Oh, he actually was closer. Oh, don't click out of the country, Benica. So a bit of a misclick there with 30 seconds left to go for him, but nothing to worry about too much. There we go. That's a better sign if you can read it.
Is it though?
I thought that something that Baf something city was on the map, but maybe again they all look the same sometimes, and so you're like, is that what I saw before on the map, or is that spelled differently? I'm not quite sure. 5 seconds left, 2 seconds left, 1 second, no time for Benica. He will beat Ed, who somehow put his marker way far away on that round with 3,743 points for him. But Icetharu clinching the win with 4,583 points in that round, only 2.6 kilometers off. So yeah, maybe I think Benica got a little bit lucky even with that pin placement there, Calamity, in that last round. He didn't really have too much.
Yeah, again, it depends a bit on, because you never know. I mean, I occasionally check the map pages to see who's practicing or not. But if people are practicing just by looking at Google Maps a lot, then I can't really see that. So Benica may have just looked at Google Maps a lot, looked at how different regions look. And it's often difficult to tell in Lesotho, but if you've done enough research, you can probably at least go off of that somewhat. So maybe he knew he's somewhere there, but yeah, couldn't find anything more specific.
Yeah, so after a single loss, Icetharu returns to his winning ways with 20,992 total points in Lesotho. A very good score to break over 20,000 in a country like that. But Benica will have now 4 straight losses going into week number 8 in Sweden. Sweden.
Yes.
With 16,821 points. So unfortunately for him, his slide continues. So who will these two be facing off against in Sweden, Calamity?
Benica will get the fun task of facing off against Tall Impala. And Icetharu will have Yellow Scamry as his opponent.
Okay, so definitely an easier week for Ice. Benica probably will be hoping to not lose by too much. It's quite a tall ask for him to beat Tall Impala to stop his losing streak. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there in Sweden. It's our first European country, right?
North Macedonia was in Europe.
North Macedonia is technically European, that's right, but East European, so our second European country, rather.
Eastern Europe doesn't count, apparently, according to Satomi.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I'm not from Europe, so when most people hear Europe, they think Western Europe. And they're like, oh, have you been to Europe before? And you say, yes, I've been to North Macedonia. They're like, where's that? So, but no, technically you are right. It is Europe. It's very late in the evening and I'm thinking a little bit on my toes. So I apologize to all you North Macedonians for that one. But yeah, we'll see you all next time in Sweden. If you enjoy these videos, please hit that like button and subscribe. It lets us know that you enjoy it and you want to see more. So yeah, we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.